What if I told you that you can make $100 a day by betting on sports? And not from some lottery ticket parlay or tailing some random cappers on Twitter, but from a math-based repeatable process that actually works, that I've been using for 10 plus years. Now, before you click off thinking, well, this sounds way too good to be true, this isn't some get-rich-quick strategy. You're not going to take $200 or $500 and turn it into $10,000 overnight. There's a specific bankroll and a specific process that you need to be able to follow to actually make this come true. And I'm going to teach you that in this video. So let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to break down exactly how we're going to get to that $100 a day. Okay? Which means in the month making about $3,000. Okay? Which is pretty good, isn't it? Anybody could use $3,000 extra per month. But it's not as easy as it sounds. Okay, you have to have a specific process and you have to have a specific bankroll to break that down. So let's start with rule one. Rule one is going to be the odds that you're going to play. Okay, you are going to play minus 300 odds or less. Okay, now you see this number, most people are going to run and hide under a table because they're going to be like, there's no way I'm playing odds like that. But I'm going to explain to you in this video why you can play odds like this and you're still going to be able to obtain $3,000 a month in profit. Rule number two is going to be the percent. We're only going to play 1 to 5% of our total bankroll. And then rule number three, we have to stay consistent in this process. Okay? We cannot vary from our rules and what we're going to put into play and the strategy that we're going to use. There's no varying from it and jumping off the wagon and doing something else. It's sticking to this exact process that I'm going to teach you. Now let's start with a unit size of $300. Okay? That is going to be the unit size. Now how do we get to $3,000 a month from a $300 unit size? What do we need to do? Well, it's going to sound pretty simple, but it's pretty hard, okay? We're going to need to at least hit 80% of our bets, okay? But when you're playing higher odds, you have a better shot, obviously, okay? But we have to find what plays within those higher odds actually give us a true probability that's going to meet 80% or above for us to hit this percentage. But this is a must, okay? We must hit 80%. Now let's break this down for every 10 bets. Okay, every 10 bets that we do. We get 8 wins, that's going to equal $800 at these odds right here, minus 300. Now, if we get 2 losses there, that's going to equal $600. So our expected profit there is going to be, if you do the quick math right there, okay, it's going to be plus $200 profit, which is going to give us a 6.67% ROI. Not too bad, right? That's not too bad. So for every 10 bets that we place, we're profiting at least $200. Okay, imagine that. Most people out there, every 10 bets they place, they're losing half or more than that. Okay, and they're negative money. But we do this the correct way. For every 10 bets we place, we should be profiting at least $200 and replicating that process and staying consistent over and over and over. Now, to average $100 a day, we need to be betting at least 5 bets per day. So 5 bets per day times the $300 unit size is going to be each day risking at least $1,500. Now, the example I'm showing you here is a bare minimum of 80% being that's the minimum that you need to hit. You could hit higher than this, trust me. And I've had months where I've hit way higher than 80% the whole entire month. So this is just the bare minimum of where you need to be able to hit for this to actually work and you to make this exact number. But you could obviously make more than this, the higher percentage that you hit. But at this rate now, we need to have an expected win rate. And our expected wins should be 4 wins and 1 loss, meaning that we profit $100, okay? That would be the daily profit, okay? We would make $100, and then obviously we do that every single day. Now, I know everybody's looking at this and thinking, to go 4-1 every single day seems like that's impossible, but it's not. Trust me, it is not impossible. When you use the strategy that I'm about to teach you, you can literally go 100% 3, 4, 5 straight days, okay? I promise you this, because I've done it. I've won a whole entire month and went 100%. It sounds like it's unbelievable, but it literally happened, okay? I went a whole entire month, went 26-0 over an entire month, won every single day, okay? So what I'm going to show you here, though, is you're not just betting some random minus 300s. You're not doing that, okay? You are finding specific plays that give you an actual edge. That is where it lies, and that is where you are able to actually put yourself in a position to make this type of money each and every day. So now I'm going to teach you guys exactly the strategy that goes into this, okay, to be able to find those type of plays. But before I get into that, you could bypass this whole strategy section if you just want to use my Linemaker AI that has all these strategies that I teach you on YouTube built into it, so that way it finds you the plus edge plays, and you can literally ask it for plays that hit just 80% and above, and it'll give it to you in a matter of seconds. If you guys want a free trial to try that out, make sure you click the link in the description, so that way you can check it out, and it'll save you a bunch of time, okay? You don't have to do all the manual work that I teach you, because it'll just pump it out for you as easy as 1, 2, 3, all right? But let's go ahead and get to the strategy that is involved to be able to put this to work each and every day. So if we look at a minus 300 here, okay, we have an implied probability. That's going to be 75%. Our goal is to hit what? 80%. That's what we need to hit, okay? We need to hit that number to be able to profit $100 a day and make $3,000 a month. So what we have to do here is we have to go to one section, okay? One section I'm going to show you that is easier to do than money lines, totals, spreads, all that stuff, okay? We're going to look at player props, okay? Focus in on player props. The reason why is because we can get an actual true percentage to compare to the implied probability of the event actually occurring that goes with the player prop, rather than, 10 guys on a team, 11, 12 guys on a team having to all line up to do something correct for them to win a game or go over a total or something like that. So let's use NFL for example. All right, let's just say Mahomes passing yards we're looking at, okay? His passing yards. We see the over-under. They'll give you a normal line, obviously. Every sportsbook will. Okay, let's say it's 299.5. Okay, and that's your minus 110 line. If we go and look on the season, exactly how many times he's went over that number, and we find that he's only went over that number about 40% of the time, well, guess what? 40% as a true probability versus an implied probability on a minus 110 is a negative edge, okay? Just off the top of my head, it's about like negative 12%. So right off the bat, that type of play is not what you want because that's negative edge, okay? Negative. We're looking for the complete opposite. We're looking for the implied probability to be lower than what the true probability is, okay? To get that, we have to move the line. So let's say his passing yards, that's the minus 110 number, but let's say his minus 300 number is 199.5, okay? That's his minus 300 number. Now, if we go and look at his season, how many times he went over 200 passing yards, now let's say he's went over 200 passing yards 85% of the time, okay? That would be his true probability. So with the odds dictating 75%, but our true probability dictating 85%, we got a plus 10% edge, okay? And that is what you replicate. You replicate an edge that stacks on top of each other, and you use that time and time again. That is where you will actually be able to build a process that's going to be able to hit percentages like that, 80% consistently. Now, you will be able to find, like I said, 5 of these per day across any sport that's going. You will. You'll be able to find plenty of plays that are going to fit that criteria. You just have to be able to dig deep and search into exactly what it is that's going to produce that edge. But always remember this, make it stick in your head. Implied probability versus true probability. Implied needs to be lower than what the true probability is, okay? The next step you go even further with this is a matchup, okay? That's how you dictate how if you really have an edge, a true edge, okay? Because let's say Mahomes is going against a defense that gives up 280 yards a game passing, okay? When he goes against teams that are that type of matchup, most likely he probably goes over 200 yards, right? So if we look at that matchup, and he's went over that 85% of the time as well in that same exact matchup, we have verified a significant true probability there because the matchup lines up and his overall season stats line up as well. That's what you need to find. That's the extra step that you have to go to be able to find the true probability edge. Once you find that edge, that is what you multiply, that is what you compound. And that's what's going to be able to bring you $3,000 a month or $100 a day, hitting at 80%, maybe even more. So the higher consistent you hit in this percentage, the more money you make. Okay, you can make $150 a day, maybe at 85%, 90%. Okay, just dictates off of your percentage. But the lowest, you have to hit 80%, and that will bring you to $3,000 a month, $200 a day. Now, the way that I am explaining it could obviously sound simple, okay, but it's not that simple. Why? Because there's a lot of variations that go into this. Because people's mindsets will vary throughout a 30-day process. Okay, they're going to think about games that they're watching on TV that they want to bet on. They're going to think about just random things and a day when you do lose, because if you will have a day probably where you do lose, okay? When that happens, how do you react to that? Do you just stay consistent? Do you understand, you just got to keep going? That's the way that it works. You have to have another level of discipline when it comes to this, okay? Because it's going to take time. It's not something that overnight you're going to make $3,000 and that's going to be it. Not going to happen. It takes at least, on the minimum, 30 days for you to be able to see this type of result. What about the bankroll sizes that you need to make this work? Okay, at 1% unit size, you need a $30,000 bankroll. All right, just think about that. We went through all this. Most people with $500 to their name are probably thinking, "Hey, I could probably make this." Right? No, you can't. Okay, not with $500. It's not going to happen. Bankroll 1%, 30,000. 5%, the max here, is going to be a $6,000 bankroll. So at minimum, to be able to make this work, for you to make $3,000 a month, you need to have at least a $6,000 bankroll. Now, obviously, you could chop this in half. If you want to make $50 a day, you could chop both those in half, whatnot. It just tailored to what it is that you want to do. It's the same strategy. Doesn't matter, okay? It just matters the amount of money. Obviously, the more money you have, the more money you're going to make. That's the game of life. But this is exactly the formula for you to create to literally be able to create a whole side income to make $100 a day to $3,000 a month doing something you love, which is betting on sports, because most people, you're already watching it, you might as well make money off of it, right? So again, these are the minimum, maximum bankrolls, okay? Your minimum is going to be here and your max is going to be here. But that is what you need to be able to make this work at the numbers that I showed you. As always, guys, I'm Frank with Linemaker Sports. I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, I'm out.